It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible.
Like this?
We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Thank you. We would now like to invite our principal, Mrs. Rakhi Mukherjee. Mrs. Mukherjee heads the South Asia region for the Advisory Board of Cambridge International. She is the proud recipient of the Iconic Leadership Award, which she received from the Governor of Maharashtra, Shri Bhagat Singh Koshyari. Mrs. Mukherjee is a symbol of inspiration, encouragement, and motivation. She is the glue that binds our institute together. She has supported and guided students indefinitely and selflessly. She continues to ensure that we carry out all activities and events necessary to school culture, and she proves to be a role model for us every single day. We are proud to have you as our leader. Over to you, Mrs. Mukherjee.
Hi, can you hear me? Dr. Parekh here, testing for your mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Suhavi. So many jargons is what you said, and it really, really makes me so proud that my student thinks so beautifully of a leader. Yes, leadership is a skill which we want to imbibe in all my learners. And I think a big round of applause to all my learners out here, because it's a Sunday morning. They have got up early, they have recorded themselves, and they are coming here to attend an event like that. That speaks for the culture. Somebody did mention about the culture of the institute. This is the culture of the institute. It is like the president of our society, Mr. Jayesh Choksi, very proudly says that we also teach. Right? Kya bari baat hai? Every institute is teaching, every education. That's the reason an educational institute is conceived, right? You need to have that academic brilliance. But what is it that an institute is different for is the culture. So here in this institute, Juhu Pale Education Society, parents, students, and my learned friends out here, we provide an ecosystem of growth. We develop skills. A very typical example is right from the time you walked in, you saw the Rangoli pattern. I am so impressed. I'm sure a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old staff would not have been able to conceive a pattern like that. Yeah. That is skill. The entire decor of this audience, the ambience developed, the beautiful decor out there is the brainchild of each and every child of mine, my PPS students. That is the conception. That is the skill building. And I think we're doing a fabulous job out here. A little about Juhu Pale Education Society. We have, host a student community from a 1.5-year-old, because our inception year is the EY, to our outgoing students, which is my 17-year-old, the bright community that you see. So we look at things very holistically. And as I said, as an institute, we look at the skill building. That's the reason we get into these kind of events. Okay, logistic planning, reaching out to great people, great minds like you. It's the brainchild of my student. It's the effort of each and every student of mine. And who's the backbone out here? Who supports us? And we walk our talk. You would see that the management is here in full force. There's no need for them, right? It's a Sunday morning. They could have gone for a lovely breakfast and jogging track with friends. But here they are. Thank you, Mr. Jayesh Shah. My gratitude, you are making so much of a difference to the student community. The secretary, Mr. Jayesh Shah. The treasurer, Mr. Harish Choksi. My co-principal, we have a sister concern, CP Goenka International School, Miss Anita Sharma. And my PTA president, Lifeline, Miss Dhaval Bayani. I have a few PTA representatives, all of us. So the thought I am trying to percolate students is, this is collaboration. The more you collaborate, the more you are, those 5 C's of 21st century skill, which we only see in paper, is action in Juhu Pale Education Society. So we're very proud to host events. Today is TEDx. Tomorrow, in fortnight, we have GC MAN. And there are events back-to-back after that as well. And we are also running A-levels, which is a rigorous curriculum. So the people you see running around are also the ones who have academic brilliance. So time management is something we are very proud of. And this kind of grooming is what my students develop, imbibe in this institute, and they go places. So we have students who are in the best of the universities across the globe. We have students who are in the best of the placements in India itself. right? I have Darpan over there, my proud student. I was just talking to my students out there. Here, there is Darpan, who has been the Bluebells leader. He would be living on the stage. Darpan, you remember? Encouraging students to participate. And he has academic brilliance. And today he's, the fact that I'm sitting there and Darpan is here, I think is success for me. Don't you agree? Yes? So that is Utpal Sangvi, that is PPS, and my learned friends out here, it's all gratitude that you could spare your wonderful, some moments of your time and life to come and address my students. It is an honor and privilege. Thank you and welcome again. We understood we are very, very, particular about time, but we had to begin half an hour late because somewhere technology was a bit of a concern. I think that's sorted right out there. Thank you, and please enjoy the show.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mukherjee. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak. It's time now to commence with the third edition of TEDxYouth at PPSIJC. We have an astounding lineup of inspirational and innovative individuals who have managed to shape their concepts into their very own conclusions. I now hand over the mic to my co-hosts, Athena and Pranav.
Thank you, Navan. Before we begin our event today, we would like to thank our sponsors, Latin Manharlal Securities, AIC Infrastructure, Meditech Healthcare, Finzard, and ICICI Bank. Our very first speaker for today is Dr. Samir Parekh. He will share his thoughts on the current mental health scale. The director of the Fortis National Mental Health Institute, Dr. Parekh, is a reputed psychiatrist and has played a vital role in raising the stigma around the mental health debate. He has topped both the DPM and the MD psychiatry programs at the Civil Hospital in Ahmedabad. Paired with his accolades are his excellent communication skills, an important quality to have in a field as conversation-dependent as his.
Dr. Parekh has also previously provided his insights on platforms such as TEDx and is an active member of the online psychiatry community. His dedicated nature and resilience make him a perfect example of concepts evolving into brilliant conclusions. We are honored to have you today join us, Dr. Parekh.
So concept to conclusion, right? These young students approached me to deliver a talk on concept to conclusion in mental health. I wondered, how do I talk about conclusion for an ever continuous aspect of our lives? It's something like a unconcluded aspect of our life. Most important aspect is a separate issue altogether, but an unconcluded aspect continues to seek its conclusion. So the idea today is, what can we do to maybe slightly tweak in this process, this approach of all of us together? Ideas don't have to be bigger. I don't subscribe to the idea of bigger ideas. I like what you said earlier in terms of if you can't implement it, what's the point? And if you can't implement it and you don't actually implement it, again, what's the point? What mental health seeks is actually a conclusion. Just look at what has happened over the past several decades. The terms that were used earlier, lunatics, insanity. From lunatics, we were able to come to patients. From insanity, we were able to come to mental ailments. From asylums, we were able to come to mental hospital, mental illness. That from not knowing what the diagnosis is, we are today at a place where we know what the diagnosis is. Not having medications or treatment, we're now at a place where there is treatment. That's the narrative, or that's the change or evolution that mental health has gone through. Yet, the false perception most of us have, especially in urban cities, especially people who are, let's say, more on the digital interface of life, we believe mental health problems are now being addressed. We believe it's a problem which has now been solved because so many people are talking about it. Not true. Just because a handful of people you end up following have talked about it does not make it a problem which everybody recognizes. Just because you heard somebody talk about it does not mean that that individual themselves were also ensuring that this, what they are saying and what they are doing actually matches. Ask yourself that question, that have we reached a place where there is access to health, acceptance to the problem, an intervention, a support system, and more importantly, are we without the stereotypy? Are we without the stigma? You ask yourself this question and you'll realize why mental health is seeking its conclusion, far away from being concluded. Even today, globally, 75% of people struggling with mental health issues do not seek intervention. That's our reality. And this is a global fact I'm saying. So don't allow yourself to believe it's only one part of the world and not the other part of the world. That's not true. Now think about it. 75% of people who could have been helped. Just imagine. Look at this, diabetes. You would get so many illnesses if you don't get treatment on time. All you had to do was go to a physician, start a tablet, look at some, chemical restructuring that happens, and life became different. As simple as that. Look at how it has happened for illness after illness. But if you don't seek help, how would you be able to make a difference? And that's the concern, that we have not been able to even remotely come out of the stigmatization, the stereotypy, the discrimination that mental health continues to go through. Ask yourself a basic question. Some of you are very young people, and some of you are much older. How many of you would be okay with a junior of yours coming to you and saying, I'm talking to the older adults here, saying that I am taking an off for 5 days for a mental health problem? Do you think that individual has the confidence of saying that to you without feeling that there will be some consequence? How many of these students here can actually go and tell the school, I am not coming, or I am having some anxiety issues, I am having insomnia? Or how many of these kids have been able to come and say, I'm having a problem with bullying? Don't allow yourself to bullying. Bullying doesn't happen here. Bullying happens everywhere. The moment I have an interaction on bullying with schools or colleges, first reaction is, in our school it doesn't happen. How is that possible? It's like saying COVID happened in every place, our school it didn't happen. It's epidemiology, it's statistics. If it is 1 in 6, it's 1 in 6. So if 1 in 6 people will have a mental ailment, or 1 in 7, that's 1 in this, on this table, 1 on this table, 1 on this table, 1 on this table. You don't have a choice. One of you will get it, like it or not. Fact of life, can't change it, can't challenge it. The recent WHO report has said that bullying is one of the most significant reasons why predominant mental health conditions happen, or mental health concerns happen later on as well. Which means we are rising when it comes to bullying, not becoming lesser. And we are a society of its own kind. We were able to even do cyberbullying. I'm just about to manage my life on the digital interface, just about to manage what to text, what not to, and so many things happen, and we were able to find trolling also. So this is the reality we live in. Yes, the transitions have happened. Yes, conversations have increased, no doubt about it. There are more conversations happening. But more conversations have not converted into ending the stigma, ending the stereotype, ending the discrimination. That's where we are today. Let's try and evaluate some statistics here. It's not merely an elephant in the room. It's an elephant on each table. You just can't see it. You can't see it because you're choosing not to see it. By 2030, the economic impact of mental illness, mental health alone will be $6 trillion. For those who don't understand feelings, thoughts, these are numbers for you. You'll probably understand this. For those who understand business well, for every 1 unit you spend on mental health, 5 units is your return. You won't get this 1:5 return on anything else. And the other return is you'll actually get life, people, dignity, values. a society that will probably not be fighting the way it is. Because mental is not merely about illness. It's also about our values, our social interface, our relatedness, our connectedness, our working together. So many aspects. That's all mental health for you. Mental ailments are one of the most significant reasons of people living in disability. In fact, you put together respiratory conditions, diabetes, and cancer, and put mental health outweighs. That's where we are. That's the nature of the problem. 1 in 6 years lived with a disability are because of mental health. If that is the problem and we've still not noticed, so imagine what we are giving to our children 20 years down the lane, 10 years down the lane. If we don't address the mental health issue now, if we don't bring the conclusion to the problem of mental health now, you are damaging your own future, the lives of children. You can pick any of the problems in mental health, start doing something about it. And that's where the change is required. That's the only approach that needs to be there. Now let's look at the other angle. I'll share with you the portrayal of what has happened. Look at how portrayal of mental health still happens in media, entertainment media especially. Either you'll show it for comedy, either you'll show it for violence, or if nothing else you want to explain a complicated crime, you will show psychopathy or something like that. What does it do? You show comedy, people will mock. People won't take mental ailment seriously. You make a laughing stock of a human being suffering. And just don't say it's in the name of freedom of speech and expression and creative expression. Dignity and values cannot be crossed, and you can't hurt individuals just because you want to claim freedom of expression. That's not okay. Because that one comedy that you see, 10 people who saw that decided not to go and seek help because I would be mocked, I would be laughed at. That's the reality. You show violence and you show psychopathy, what happens is people experience fear towards people struggling from mental illness. Again, you will say, no, I don't want to meet this person. Why is this person in my team? Why is this person in my class? So on and so forth. So this portrayal needs to change. But we can't wait for that to happen. This is our everyday communication, the slurs we use. Oh, you are a psycho. Oh, you are a schizo. What is this? And these slurs themselves add on to the continuous stigma, the continuous discrimination that happens. Just imagine the struggle and the suffering. You know, we are nearing 1 billion people in the world. 1 billion people. 1 billion people struggling with mental health concerns. Just look at that number. We lose an individual to suicide every 40 seconds. I don't know the math, but I'm told I'm supposed to speak for about 18 odd minutes maximum. So that's every 40 seconds you can do the math. We've lost lives. To a preventable cause. Suicide can be prevented. You have World Suicide Prevention Day. Why? Because it can be prevented. So a preventable cause of death. Every 41 seconds, loved ones lose an individual. That's where we are. Imagine the struggle. I am struggling. I am suffering. I want to do well. I know I can do well. I don't know what's happening to me. But I can't talk about it. I can't talk about to your friend. They may give me an opinion. I can't talk to a family member. They'll tell me it's my fault. I can't talk to anybody outside. They don't get me. Gradually what happens is I stay within myself. I had potential. I could have done well. I could have been an academician. I could have been a player. I could have been a musician. I could have been a doctor. I could have been anything that I could have been. But no. I struggle because either I didn't know whom to go to, or nobody helped me go someplace, and I couldn't get the intervention in the right manner at the right time. And now put this I to 1 billion as a figure. And think about it. if you can't think, and if you can't feel what somebody else goes through, how are we humankind? How are we people? Not bots. You feel. But if you can't feel, you can't empathize, it doesn't work. So take mental health to a conclusion. I come here asking for a conclusion. I have nothing to conclude. Over 2 decades of my life have been in the field of mental health. Most time is gone, little bit is left. You have so much more. You shape lives, you shape future. Take mental health to a conclusion. Each one of us who's here, each one of you listening, who may listen to this today, who may listen to this months down the lane, you are all equally a part of this conclusion. You're all equally stakeholders. There is no difference. Expertization of mental health is not a solution. We have 300+% shortage of experts. So don't even think that experts are going to solve the problem. They're not going to do that. Community is going to do that. School is a community. College is a community. Your RWs are a community. Your family is a community. Your organization is a community. Your society is a community. Your country is a community. The world is a community. Communities is where the solutions happen. You start at the basic. You start from where you can. You don't start from, oh, that's such a big problem coming from there. You don't start from there. You start from what I can do. Use the right language. Show the right support. Give us some psychological first aid. Show compassion. Be empathetic. That's what you can do. So be an advocate of mental health. What can you do? Be an advocate of mental health. Pass the right information. Ensure that around you conversations are happening in the right scientific, positive manner. Bring in psychological first aid. Show compassion and positivity when you are talking to people. From advocacy, you come to communities. Instill life skills. Life skills for school-age children. Life skills for college students. Go to the corporate sector. Bring in mental health outcomes. Yes to your EBITDAs, yes to your P&Ls. Where are the mental health outcomes? What happened to people? Numbers are all fine, graphs look pretty. What happened to people? How many burnt out? How many lost and went down the sleeves? What happened? So that's where you work. You work on psychological first aid. Train your teachers in psychological first aid. Bring mental health curriculum to your schools. Make sure each teacher goes through mental health curriculum. Take mental health to the primary healthcare sector. Use your Anganwadi workers, train them. Go to the Gram Panchayat level. Go to the college level. Even today, schools still have counselors as compared to colleges. It's not that suddenly you become 18 and problems are solved. In fact, that was the best part of our lives. Take me back to school any day, I'll go back happily. Best time, absolutely best time. The world outside was something totally different. So that's what you do. You bring advocacy. But to bring advocacy, you need to bring acceptance. Accept the problem. It's a problem. It needs a solution. Feel the problem. Bring your intent and your investment both. I gave you the 1 in 5 number. Bring your intent and investment both. Bring all your CSRs. They would also be insufficient. Do what you can. It will still be insufficient, but we need to do it. The more chisels that we have in our hand, that's how we are going to find a conclusion to this mountain that's in front of us, which is mental health. So acceptance, advocacy, that's what is needed from each one of us. What you can do is the question. So there is no big idea when it comes to mental health. Mental health has been not just unconcluded, but unnoticed. It continues to be there. Recently, WHO came up with that big data on mental health. Also talked about that merely in 2 years of the pandemic, there was a 20 to 25% increase in depression and anxiety alone. What are we doing about it? Think on those lines. The question is, how do I take mental health to a conclusion? What can I do? There is no big idea. There is a simple, small, sensitive one. Asking you the question, what can you do? Even your language change can make a difference. Even a post that you put on social media can make a difference. Even when somebody reaches out to you, and that first interaction you have with this individual can make a difference. That's how you take mental health to a conclusion. So like I started and said that this seems like a present continuous, you change it. You bring the problem of mental health to past and bring the solution of mental health to your conclusion. So an unconcluded mental health seeks conclusion from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parekh, for your insight.
We have a short performance lined up. Dance, as an art form, resonates with our feelings and emotions. The performance today shows our rich culture integrating with Western dance styles. We welcome our students to the stage.
तो मुझे ऐसा लगता था जैसे मेरी सारी दुनिया में गीतों की रुत और रंगों की बरखा है, खुशबू की आंधी है, महकी हुई सी अब सारी फिजाएं हैं, महकी हुई सी अब सारी हवाएं हैं, खोई हुई सी अब सारी दिशाएं हैं, बदली हुई सी अब सारी अदाएं हैं, जागी उमंगे है, धड़क रहा है दिल, सांसों में तूफान है, होठों पे नगमे है, आंखों में सपने हैं, सपनों में बीते हुए सारे वो लम्हे हैं, जब कोई आया था नजरों पे छाया था, दिल में समाया था, कैसे मैं बताऊं तुम्हें कैसा उसे पाया था, प्यारे से चेहरे पे बिखरी जो जुल्फे, तो ऐसा लगता था जैसे कोहरे के पीछे एक ओस में धुला हुआ फूल खिला है, जैसे बादल में एक चांद छुपा है और झांक रहा है, जैसे रात के पर्दे में एक सवेरा है, रोशन रोशन आंखों में सपनों का सागर, जिसमें प्रेम सितारों की चादर जैसे छलक रही है, लहरों लहरों बात करे तो जैसे मोती बरसे।
I look at my Cartier out of control. Just like my mind where I'm going, the women, the shorties know nothing but clothes. No stopping at my Pirelli's on. Unlike my jewelry that's always on. I know the storm is coming, my pockets keep telling me it's gonna shower. Call up my homies, it's on and popping the night cause it's meant to be ours. We keep a fadeaway shot cause we ballin' and spotting up Patron every hour. Look mama, ow, you just like the flowers. Girl, you the truth with all that goody powers.
Wow, what an amazing performance. Our students have done a wonderful job. Let's give them a huge round of applause.
We will now proceed with our next speaker for the day, Mr. Devesh Chawla. Mr. Chawla is the founder of Chatur Ideas, a startup enabler platform that has over 125 cities and consists of almost 1,500 investors. Mr. Chawla is known for his mentorship skills and has trained almost 34,000 new innovators. Chatur Ideas has been selected as the top 5 rising startups of India by Tech in Asia and has been awarded as top 50 small businesses of India.
Mr. Chawla has been listed by Forbes as one of the greatest people managers in India for the year 2021. He has been acknowledged for his visionary ideas through the Mahatma Gandhi Samman Award. He has also been awarded as the CEO of the year 2019 in Dubai by GISR Foundation and the American College of Dubai, and much more.
He is an enigmatic speaker which explains his prior experience with TEDx talks. Mr. Chawla is an ingenious strategist, a mentor, an effective leader, an out-of-the-box thinker, and to sum it all, an all-rounder. Let's hear a huge round of applause for Mr. Chawla. He's going to educate us on how we can convert the seeds of our ideas into fruitful conclusions.
Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Is that what hustling is all about? Okay, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys are a fan of hustling? Well, awesome. And how many of you guys are not fan of the hustling club? In that case, please bear with me. I'm here just for 15 minutes. So hello everyone, once again, I am Devesh Chawla, the founder and CEO of Chatur Ideas and Chatur Wealth. I'm an entrepreneur by heart and a problem solver by passion. I started Chatur Ideas way back in 2015. We have mentored thousands of startups and founders and invested into great entrepreneurial ideas. I'm now in for my next venture, which is Chatur Wealth. It's a fintech startup. I've always been passionate about entrepreneurship. The mere thought of seeing people solving problems, working in large teams, helping people, seeing your favorite men growing up the industries and leading them makes me wonder, wow, isn't it awesome that you are actually building your dream and creating an impact at the same time? Let me ask another question. Too many questions today. So how many of you guys have thought where you're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? Okay, some hands are getting raised, okay, fine. How many of you guys have thought the steps you will take to reach in the next 5 to 10 years to reach your dream? Not many, right? And that's where the problem is. All of us dream of the destination that we wish to achieve, but we don't actually think of the steps that we need to take to achieve those dreams. And the problem of not thinking of the steps involved to achieve your dream is the entire journey becomes a burden. The small steps that we take becomes obstacles. And we forget the mere reason why we actually started all of this. And I'm not blaming anyone here, I was the same, because I was the one who was actually working on things to chase my dreams. Because that's what we have been taught. बेटा IT कर ले, life set हो जाएगी. एक 50 लाख का पैकेज ढूंढ ले, फिर कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं लाइफ में. We all have been taught to appreciate success. And success can be money, power, fame, and whatnot. But you know what experience has taught me? That it does not matter what your destination is. The journey is something that counts the most. A few years ago, I had a crazy idea to start up. It was a taxi app. I met countless mentors, founders, people in the industry. I did what all I could, but it did not take off for the first time. In fact, I was bashed at the mere reason or the mere thought of actually leaving my cushy job and starting up. And thanks to all the naysayers around me, I was actually convinced I'm not fit to be an entrepreneur. I think after 2, 3, or 4 years later, I saw someone with a similar idea taking the industry by storm, and I was devastated. But soon I realized that between chasing my dreams, achieving my end goals, there was something that was missing. I had the entrepreneurial zeal, I was excited, I had the entrepreneurial bent of mind, everything was there, but I think I wasn't ready for it. Then I thought, maybe I should give myself another chance. What I did now was, I started working on another startup idea. I said, this time I'm going to make actually the real dreams into success. A few years later, I decided to quit my job. And let me tell you, it wasn't an easy task at all. I had sleepless nights. I used to work for, say, 16 to 18 hours a day. My financials were in a mess. I had no social life. The only thing that was sticking in my mind was Chatur ideas. And this time I thought, I'm ready for it. But having said that, I failed multiple times. There were naysayers. There were a lot of rejections. But after years of hard work, it finally took off. And it was an incredible journey. And let me tell you, I would not trade that for anything in life. So here today, I'm not going to talk to you about the power of positivity or the power of now, but I want to tell you the framework that actually worked for me. I call that framework as the PDF framework, where P stands for perseverance, D stands for discipline, and F stands for focus. And let me take you all through each of them one by one. So let me first talk about perseverance. I'm a big believer of perseverance. You know why? Because perseverance is something that actually makes the difference. It actually separates the winners from the losers. It has also taught me one more thing. It said that no matter whatever your destination is, whatever you're doing in life, you will fail, you will fall. But what makes a difference is you have to get up and you have to succeed. You have to get going in life. Let's take the example of Colonel Sanders. He had 1,009 failed experiments before KFC came into being. We all know of Thomas Edison. He failed 10,000 times before we have the electricity today. But what happens with most of us is we give up too easily. Perseverance is actually taking those steps again and again, despite whatever your journey is, despite however tough it is. Success is what? Success, according to me, it's a accumulation of the same steps taken again and again over a period of time. You know, many a time what happens in our life is we just don't want to do things because we just can't see something happening. We're just seeing the dark tunnel. We're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And we just want to give up. We just want to, just divert our mind. We just want to maybe scroll some social media apps, just watch some TV. It's all fine. But that should not stop us from taking action. It's completely fine. So, it's completely fine for us to be fearful, to feel like quitting, to feel like giving up. But that should not stop us at all from taking any action. There are two emotions. One is fear, the other is courage. Fear makes us safe, courage makes us grow. And it's fine to have both of these emotions. But sometimes in life, we have to choose one over the other. Sometimes we have to choose courage over fear. Because I think we all are born courageous. We ought to be courageous. What I'm suggesting everyone here is that you feed your courage so that you see it getting bigger. And you watch it getting bigger and better. Because you are worth for everything that you've hoped for. Now that brings to my next point, which is discipline. I'm a big fan of discipline too. Because discipline is something that actually teaches you to be inclined towards one thing. Discipline is not about following someone's rule book and sticking to it. Discipline is about creating your own rule book and sticking to it. It's about getting up early in the morning when the world is sleeping. It's about hustling when the world is partying. It's about you going the extra mile when the world is happy with where they have reached. It's about doing the extra bit. People who are more successful aren't necessarily more talented or more hardworking, but they are the ones who have mastered the art of self-discipline. So I feel if we got to be successful, we have to master the art of self-discipline. Let me now move to my last point, which is focus. I think focus is one of the most important points for anyone to be successful. We need to have that laser-sharp focus. Many a times what happens is we jump from one place to the other place, and we just keep doing multiple things, but that leads us nowhere. That was also that happened with me when I started my business. I used to do multiple things. I just wanted to conquer the world. I just wanted to keep doing everything that was coming on my plate, but that was leading me nowhere. And soon I realized that success is not about doing 100 things at once. It's about doing that one thing with your 100%. It's not about being jack of all trades. It's about being that master of one. It's about having that one dedicated goal and just aiming for that. Let me share an incident with you. Maybe that can help you all to relate it better. I'm sure all of you all have watched Mahabharat sometime in your life, right? So there was a scene where Dronacharya was training Kauravas and Pandavas on archery. That time he calls in Duryodhan. He asks him, what all can you see? He says, I can see a bird, I can see some leaves, I can see some clouds. He says, okay, you move aside. He calls in Yudhishthir. He asks him, what all can you see? He says, I can see the bird's face, I can see the bird's eye. He says, okay, you move aside. He calls in Arjun. He asks him, what all can you see? He says, I can see the bird's eye. He again asks him, what all can you see? He says, I can only see the bird's eye. He's like, shoot, and hits the bird's eye. And we all know that he was one of the best archers of his time. Now, that's the laser sharp focus I'm talking about. That's what we need to have to be successful. To summarize, what happens, when we prioritize the results and not the process? We are too much into the future than the present. If you want to have a profitable business, you have to fall in love with the process. And the key here is to focus on what you can control and leave what you can't. Because even luck works for you if you do. And what people call about overnight success is actually a combination of time, perseverance, discipline, and focus. So what we need to do is finalize what a goal is, work towards that, and find in numerous ways to solve that one single problem. So that's the PDF framework for all of you all. I hope that helps you all in your journey. And remember one thing, success is not a destination, it's a journey. And let me conclude by saying, काम ऐसा करो कि पहचान बन जाए, हर कदम ऐसा चलो कि निशान बन जाए, जिंदगी तो हर कोई काट लेते हैं दोस्तों, तुम इस कदर जियो कि मिसाल बन जाए. Thank you everyone.
Nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Chawla. You're truly as enigmatic a speaker as they say. Now, we move on to our next speaker for the day, Dr. Kinshuk Das Gupta. Science is the foundation for our knowledge and existence. And today, we are extremely delighted to have one of India's best ambassadors of science, Dr. Kinshuk Das Gupta, an incredible scientist with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. Dr. Das Gupta is the head of the Advanced Carbon Section Material at BARC and is reputed associate professor of India's Homi Bhabha National Institute. Having a PhD in chemical engineering and several prestigious accolades under his belt, for instance, Young Engineer Prize, Vasvik Industrial Research, and Shanti Swaroop Bhatnagar Prize, his awe-inspiring works speak volumes for his conscientiousness and excellence in the scientific world. His leadership skills reflect vibrantly through his analytical personality.
Moreover, he has been very active in lecture circuits, planting the seed of boundless imagination in every student that looks up to him. It goes without saying that he is a stronghold of ambition and an ever-glowing beacon of inspiration. And we guarantee you that his wise words will strike a chord in your heart. Please give a huge round of applause to Dr. Das Gupta, who will share his mantra of shaping raw ideas into exceptional, truly exceptional conclusions.
Good morning, everybody. In TEDxYouth at PPSIJC, today's theme is concept to conclusion. And I would try to demonstrate that how nanotechnology can make our concept to culminate into some useful materials or technology for the mankind. I'll be focusing on a particular material called carbon, and in next few minutes, I will take you through the fascinating world of carbon nanotechnology. As you all know, in background, I'm a scientist, and always we talk with the projection. So I'll be happy if the focus is also on the projection, my PPT, because that gives more information than what I am talking. moving. This is not moving. Can somebody help me in changing the slides? No. Go to the next. I'm sorry that generally we talk with the help of the PowerPoint only because all the information is there. Okay. So as I was talking about nanotechnology, and by definition, nanotechnology is a branch of science and engineering devoted to the designing, producing, and using structures, devices, and systems by manipulating atoms and molecules in nanoscale. And now, what do you mean by nanoscale? Nanoscale is a scale where we talk any dimension at the range of 10 to the power minus 9. That is, again, it is not working. Yeah?
Can he change the slide for you? Is it okay?
It is okay?
Yeah. Can you just change? Next slide.
It's not working. Yeah. Can you give me? Is it okay? So nanoscale is one or more dimensions should be in the nanometer range. That is 100 nanometer. And in nanoscale, what happens? The properties of a material change drastically and compared to the bulk scale. And next. And so what happens? Don't know. Give me, then I can operate. कैसे करना? Tap. And up. If I go to up, so it will come. Yeah. But the challenge is to translate these nanoscale properties into large scale. Unless we can translate this property, we cannot utilize the exotic properties in the nanoscale. So now, I am talking about a material carbon, as I told you. So almost all the carbon-based materials, they are based on a structure called graphene. So what is graphene? Here the carbon atoms are hexagonally arranged in a particular fashion in a planar structure. And with this structure, we can give rise to any of kind of material what we want to design. Like if we want to stack one layer above another, then we end up with a material called graphite. Again, if we try to roll this graphene sheet into a cylinder, seamless cylinder, we called it nanotube. And if it is a single cylinder, we called it single wall carbon nanotube. And if there are concentric multi-wall carbon nanotubes, that's also possible. Again, we can give a curvature to this graphene layer into cage-like structure or a football-like structure. It is called fullerene. And we can also add oxygen atom into the lattice structure of this carbon, and we end up with something called graphene oxide. So all these materials, graphite, carbon nanotube, graphene oxide, fullerene, they have excellent properties. And if we see what are these excellent properties, let me compare them with a common material called steel. Every day we use steel. You see the last but one row, that is strength. So steel is having a strength 1 to 2 GPa. GPM is gigapascal. Now, if you see the carbon nanotubes of graphene, they have almost 1 to 2 orders higher strength. But see the density, that is almost 1/6 that of the steel density. So something's called, that is called specific strength. That means strength per unit weight or per unit density, which is huge for these carbon-based nanomaterials. And that is why these carbon-based nanomaterials, they find applications in composites, in water treatment, in gas adsorption, energy storage, drug delivery, sensors, catalysis, field emission, and so on and so forth. So this material is really wonder material, and depending on our application, we can synthesize them. So now I will tell you what are the various process of synthesizing carbon nanomaterials. That is the challenge. So there are two approaches. First approach is called top-down approach. So top-down means, if you see, we have a large material like graphite. It is naturally available. Can we take down the layers out of this graphite and end up with a single layer called graphene? So this approach is called top-down approach. How we do it? We take some kind of graphite material, and there are some process called exfoliation of graphite, like electrochemical exfoliation or mechanical exfoliation, and you end up with some structure called graphene. You can see right-hand bottommost structure, that is graphene. Again, the second approach is called bottom-up approach, and in bottom-up approach, we start with the molecules or atom, and we try to arrange them in a particular fashion and end up with the same structure. So there are two approaches, top-down and this bottom-up. And this bottom-up approach generally is used in a process called chemical vapor deposition. So there what we do, we take some hydrocarbon gas, try to crack them. Hydrocarbon means there is carbon and hydrogen. So we take the carbon atoms or molecules from there and try to arrange them in a particular fashion. And by arranging them, you can see, you can end up with different structure. One is called carbon nanotube, and another is also graphene. So depending on the processing condition, we can end up with those structure. Now, chemical vapor deposition is a very important technology by which you can synthesize various nanomaterials. So there are various chemical vapor deposition. I'll just touch upon them because these technologies are very important in order to get these nanomaterials. So first thing is called fluidized bed chemical vapor deposition, and I'll try to show you one video. Yeah, can you just try to play the video? Yeah, in the video, what happens? What is fluidized bed chemical vapor deposition? In a fluidized bed deposition, yes. So some solid materials, they are, by the help of a gas or fluid, they are made to behave like a overall fluid. And what happens in this condition, you are exposing all the particles in the suspended condition. And in this fashion, if you send a hydrocarbon gas through this fluidized particle, and you can deposit nanoparticle and carbon nanotube by this method. Now, when we see this carbon nanotube in naked eye, it looks like a powder, simple other black powder. But if we see something called in transmission electron microscopy, you can actually see their tubular structure. And there is something called high resolution transmission electron microscopy, by which you can even see the atomic planes what are present in this structure. Now the next process, which is very important to make nanoparticle, is called plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition. Now as I was talking, something called graphene. So but the graphene is a two-dimensional structure. How we can use them in 3 dimension? Because that is also very important. So a 3-dimensional graphene can be made by using a low pressure plasma enhanced CVD. And another beautiful structure, like we can also make a hybrid structure. So the hybrid structure is, at the bottom you get three-dimensional graphene, and at the top of that you can grow the vertically aligned carbon nanotubes. These structures are having very high surface area, so they can be used for energy storage material or as a sensor material. So these materials are very, very useful for this purpose. Now another very important structure I am showing it, it looks like flower. We have given the name graphene flower. Now here it is looking like flower, but if you see in naked eye it is just like a particle. But if you see with the help of a microscope, you can see this kind of structure. What is the beauty of this structure? You can get so much high surface area. If you see, these are vertically aligned graphene, and you can really use them for supercapacitor application. Now see, I have this is okay. This is one video what I want to show you. This is called floating catalyst chemical vapor deposition. Now what tap water kind of thing you are seeing, it is nothing but the carbon atoms and molecules coming along with the gas, and we are able to manipulate them in such a fashion that it can coherently, and finally you can get a structure like this kind of paper. And this carbon nanotube paper or sheet is having such important properties that you can use them for sensors, in filter application, in mask, in EMI shielding, as well as in ballistic application. Now same carbon nanotube paper can be used to make fiber out of that. Now if you see this video, here the same tap water kind of thing we are trying to put, it is working, don't do. Same thing is coming inside a water, and then a fiber is coming. If you can see, I don't know, a fiber is getting wound by this, and when this fiber is a very high strength fiber. How we made this fiber? Actually the same carbon molecular atom, and by nanotechnology we arrange these atoms in such a fashion, and finally you end up with this kind of high strength fiber. And this fiber is not only high strength, it is having also high electrical conductivity. You can see by using this fiber, you can glow a LED bulb and using a USB port from the computer. So other applications in carbon nanotube is we can use them for selective separation of metal ions from the very lean solution. Like if we want to particularly take out some important metal from a solution, so we can use carbon nanotube polymer bead. Yeah. Can you help me? Skip. Yes. Yeah, it's coming. Again, we can dope other atoms like nitrogen or boron inside the carbon atoms, and we can also change their properties. Like here I am showing these carbon nanotubes, they can be used for hydrogen storage. So when only carbon nanotube is there, hydrogen storage is not that remarkable. But when we add nitrogen atom in place of a carbon atom, we can improve the hydrogen storage. But again, if we can do boron, there is a tremendous improvement in the hydrogen storage. So what I want to mean by decorating atom or molecule in nanoscale, you can really manipulate the properties of the material. Here, this kind of tubular structure has been used for water purification purpose and also for the capture of virus. How it is possible? Now if you see, if you can make a random network of carbon nanotube and the porosity you can manipulate in the range of that of the virus or that of the bacteria, and you can physically trap them. So here I could see something called P1 fudge. So P1 fudge is a virus to bacteria. So that we have shown that how almost 99% of the P1 fudge could be trapped by using this material. This is another important application, how to enhance the ballistic performance of a material. So here in the ceramic we have used carbon nanotubes, and by that we could improve some property called fracture toughness. Fracture toughness means how much energy it can absorb before it gets fractured. So by increasing that, here in the second image you can see 6 bullets have been pumped there. So AK-47 as well as SLR, and you can see in the next 2 images, which are radiographic image, the bullets are totally broken and trapped inside that. So that I want to say that this nanomaterial can enhance the ballistic property as well. Another very important thing is simple concrete. So we could improve the compressive strength of a concrete almost 40% by adding graphene oxide. As I told if you remember my second slide, graphene oxide is one material. So it could improve the compressive strength as well as the fire resistance of a material, and by which there is a mechanism. Means it creates some nanocrystalline region where there is a nucleation of the something called hydration product, and by which the density gets improved. Now it is time to conclude. Now what I want to say, the advancement of civilization is highly dependent on the conceptualization of ideas, and one can design futuristic materials based on the concept, and the challenge is to convert this conceptual material into reality, and nanotechnology has given us opportunity for the realization of our ideas. And in future, we have to use, all of you must be hearing these 2 terms, one is called artificial intelligence and another is called additive manufacturing. So these 2 also are coming in a big way for a futuristic development of materials and growth of our society. And with this, I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das Gupta. Our audience has truly learned from your valuable insights. We now have a short performance lined up.
Music has the ability to cross trivial barriers such as language, for music has the power to touch each and every person's heart. We at TEDxYouth at PPSIJC are proud to celebrate the power of music through a performance by Tavishi Kanojia and Sana Shah, who will be performing a duet. For music, at the end of the day, is someone's soulful idea turned into a memorable conclusion.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in rivers. आशियाना मेरा साथ तेरे है ना, ढूंढती तेरी गली मुझको घर मिला। आबद मेहरबानी जाते जाते मुझ पे ये कर गया गुजरता सा लम्हा एक दामन भर गया तेरा नजारा मिला रोशन सितारा मिला तकदीर की कश्तियों को किनारा मिला Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your ship bare. See how I leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I can do. There's a fire started in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. Rolling in the deep, you had my heart inside of your hands, and you played it, you played it, you played it, you played it to the beat.
Thank you so much, Tavishi and Sana. That was a splendid performance. I have goosebumps. We now move on to our next speaker for the day. Magic is the skillful art of deception. It is a place where science ends and illusion begins, why questions are left unanswered. And no one is more proficient in the marvelous artistry that is magic than our next speaker, Mr. Mangesh Desai. Mr. Desai is a renowned illusionist and mentalist who has graced Colors TV's India's Got Talent. And to add to his endless list of achievements, Mr. Desai has trained several Bollywood veterans such as Amitabh Bachchan, Akshay Kumar, and Hrithik Roshan.
Moreover, TEDxYouth at PPSIJC is not his first rodeo. He has been imparting his knowledge to passionate learners in many other TEDx events. The driving force of Mr. Desai's prowess as a successful illusionist runs deep in his tenacious and goal-oriented personality. His confidence, versatility, and dexterity truly mesmerizes us. However, at his epicenter, we can discover a gold mine that is his determination, perseverance, and the rare skill of being able to effectively weave meaningless clumps of ideas into meaningful conclusions. So please welcome Mr. Mangesh Desai, who will without a doubt inspire you through the magic of his hands and mind.
Good morning. I said good morning, everybody. Okay, there's a clicker problem. It's okay, it's okay. I understand technology. So before we begin, I'm Mangesh, as they said, I'm an illusionist, mentalist. For past more than 22 years I've been performing, and I've realized one thing. What we use, what we do, what the principle that we use to do magic can be applied to anything in life to make life better. In short, I could say you can add magic to your life with the things I'm going to tell you. So where magic happens, that's what I'm going to talk about today. When I say where magic happens, the first thing I'm going to do is show you some magic, because I do understand people expect that from me. What is this? A newspaper. What I'm going to do now is absolutely not really happening. Okay? Now, you'll actually see and hear a paper being torn. How many of you agree that I actually tore the paper? Hey, fooled you. If I really tore the paper, it would look like I am making many, many pieces. 32 to be precise. Right? But as I told you, I never really tore the paper. It was always one. And since I'm a mentalist, I have to do something with the mind. I was going to actually call somebody on stage and do this, but I am not, because we don't have much time. So I just hold it myself at this point of time. I just need someone to, ma'am, I would like you to point to someone so that it's quite random. Just anyone. You can just stand there. What's your name? Manan. I have no idea why you're clapping. That's a very regular name, Manan. So, Manan, I'm going to tell you, I want you to choose a color, okay? Now, before we go ahead, this pack has one special card. We'll get to that later, but first, I want you to choose a color, okay? Red or black, black or red. Say it. Red, good. Manan, point to someone, just somebody who you do not know. Okay, you tell them whom you're pointing to, because they wouldn't know. What? Sorry? The kid. Okay, the kid. What's your name? Tanmay? Sanay. Okay, Sanay. Okay. So he said, you said red. Did you say red? Yeah. He said red. So you have two choices: hearts or diamonds. Hearts or diamonds. Which one would you choose? Diamonds. Okay, expensive kid. Oh, we'll come back to principal ma'am. I have not told you before this what to say, right? We have no setup. This is the first time I'm going to ask you to choose a card between ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, king, queen, or jack. Name one. Queen of diamonds. I would like to tell you that it is a very, very common card to choose, queen, because queen, ace, king, quite common. Do you want to change your choice, or you want to go with the queen? Queen of diamonds is your choice. Now, in this pack, you have absolutely no idea what is so special. I got a big pack so that everybody can see, and also because I cannot do much of any slides with this. So if you watch this pack of cards, all the cards are facing the same side, right? Oh, except one card, this one. Red, diamond, queen. So what is magic for you people? What is magic? What is magic? When I say magic, what does come to your mind? If this could work, this could be magic. Illusion. Okay, that's another word for magic. What else? Harry Potter. Okay, that is not magic at all. It is fiction, okay? Magicians don't do such thing. We don't have such problems in our family. So, no. So basically, things happening by itself, as I did, right? Something that just happens. That's magic. Impossible becoming possible. That's magic. Okay, I'd like to tell you more about magic. You know, people often believe magic is just like any other art. It is not. When you talk about dancing or singing, I call it the passive art because that's what you can practice alone and you know how good you are becoming because you can judge yourself. In magic, you cannot because magic needs a spectator. That's the reason I've been teaching celebrity and their kids because they understand that the development of the kids happen way better with magic than any other art because you have to understand if magic worked for the person sitting or watching. So although you can practice alone, you cannot be sure that you are good. So it's an active art. It is two-way. Also, magic is used to show something best of the best. Like you would say, Zakir Hussain has magic in his fingers because he's the best tabla player. Michael Jackson had magic in his performance because he was one of the best performers. So basically, we also use magic. So when you say magic, it has so many more meanings than what we usually just think. But every time we say that, we don't realize it. Anyway, so how does it work? How did I become so good, or how did I come here, or how did I reach here? So firstly, I think the most important part about any success, or even for magic, I think, is a clicker working. Oh, it sleeps, okay. So basically, okay, I'll do that. First impression. When I say first impression, what comes to your mind? When you meet someone, when you greet someone, when you see someone for the first time? Not really. Like before you came here, like many of you people have come here. Why? Why did it interest you to come here? Is it because I'm so nice? No, because it's a TED talk. And the moment you hear TED, you associate it with worth your time talks, correct? That's what. So TED already has a first impression. The moment you hear TED talk, worth your time, okay? So when does it happen? When does the first impression happen? People often think when you personally meet someone. No, I think the first impression happens when someone hears about you, when someone gets some information about you. For example, we have an actor here, sitting here. I think his web series were more famous with word of mouth than watching a trailer. Do you agree? It's only when people tell you that it's good, you go to watch it or put your time into it. So I still think word of mouth is the king, irrespective of all the social media, all the things that we have. I still think word of mouth is where the first impression is made. The first time when you hear about someone, when someone tells you, oh, this guy is good, or this company gives you good service, that's the time your impression has already started. For me, when people pick up, they watch an ad on hoarding, or they have the ticket in their hand, that's the time they realize, okay, is this show good or not? They make the impression then and there. And I think that first impression makes a big difference on what their approach is going to be with you when they first meet you personally. Now, what happens when you meet someone? When you meet someone, the first thing they notice is your energy, correct? So when I came on stage, did you see me coming on stage? Okay. So just imagine if I had come on stage like this. Good morning. You instantly don't like me, right? So before I come on stage, I have to warm up myself backstage because I've been sitting for a long time. So I think the same can go for any one of you when you're going to meet someone. If you just get yourself ready and go with that energy and say, hello, it gives, of course, not that loud, unless the person is like that, but you have the energy, you show the interest to the person, then the person shows interest back to you. I think I'm not going to give you some very big jargons because that's not what I believe in. Very simple stuff. I think this is what works, the simple stuff, but you do give it some attention. So one is that. Second is attitude. It always depends, I think it's more in Indians than outsiders. I shouldn't say Indians, but it's more in people who think about these things more. We make an impression of a person before you start talking to them, looking at them, correct? The moment you see how they're dressed, how they look, how they walk, whatever, we already make an impression. We have to stop doing that. We have to see their energy before they, although we dress well, But when you go to meet people, don't make an impression, don't get the impression before they speak to you. So I think that's one thing. So because that would change your attitude and that would change their attitude, it's reciprocal. Then approach. Approach is, again, how you, what you have in mind. Third, I think we often don't listen. So listening is very important when you meet someone for the first time. I think that's what people miss. And secondly, after all of these things, what is important is it's better to be overdressed. It literally is what I mean, but also when I say better to be overdressed, I'm just not talking about being dressed, I'm also talking about being prepared for anything that you're going to do. For example, this guy. Have you seen this scene in the Mask movie? Okay, if you remember this scene, you would see what happens. He takes out so many guns and then just bang, 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 bang. So just being prepared to shoot at them, the villains are gone. They just ran away. So when I say this, I mean to say with anything that you're doing, like for example, this thing was made, we always underestimate the requirements than we need, always. So I would say we should always have more resources than required. We always believe, very usual thing nowadays, I mean, usually what happens is, where are you? Oh, I'm just reaching. No, you're not, you're still at home. Well, the reason is because you did not make the requirement of leaving on time, reaching on time, the traffic, the rains, etc., etc., etc. That's the reason you're not on time. So I think if you prepare, but now the question is, how would you know what all the requirements are going to be? For that, we have a very, very nice technique by Gary Klein called pre-mortem. See, anytime I'm going for a show, what usually happens is, just before I go on stage, which I've been told is for 15 minutes, they would tell me, okay, it's 30 minutes because the next performer is late. Well, if I've prepared for 15 minutes before coming on stage, I cannot make it 30 unless I'm prepared for the entire 30 minutes. So that's what we do. We always prepare for more, correct? So only then will I how do I know this? Pre-mortem. Pre-mortem is basically like post-mortem, but it's an imaginary death of a goal, target, task, deal, etc. So basically what you do in pre-mortem is, you imagine that you have failed. You have actually failed what you're going to do. And then one by one, you start thinking, imagining the reasons why you failed. Maybe this, maybe that. And that's how, when you actually do that thing, you have covered all these errors, all these problems before you do. I think you can look up more about pre-mortem. There's a lot by Dr. Gary Klein. And it really helps make things much easier when you do them. The good, the bad, and the stress. We usually say stress is bad, correct? But many times stress is good. Like today we are here early morning. We are up early because we had stress about waking up early morning. That's why we could wake up, otherwise we would still be sleeping and not being on time. But at the same time, too much stress is not good. What happens in stress? What is stress? Anyone? Ma'am, what happens in stress? Sorry? Mental process which disturbs you. Correct. But why does it disturb you? Well, let's go back to when stress started. Oh, before that I will tell you a story. Yes. You know this guy in my building, living on 7th floor? One day he had an important meeting. Okay? Important meeting late. He comes out of his house, the lift or elevator for people outside India. The elevator is not working, and it's 7th floor. So he runs down, sweating, goes to his car. Oh, he forgot the key. So he shouts, "Wife, throw the key." She throws the key. Oh, no cell phone. Throw the cell phone. Throw, what is left? Key, cell phone, wallet. Okay, she throws everything down. Unfortunately, the cell phone, before he can catch, it falls down, cracks the screen. Now he's like, oh, don't throw anything else. I'll come up. He goes jogging up. So he asks her, anything left? She says, yes. And he runs up. He runs up. What's left? Handkerchief. Well, what happened here is, because of the stress, you did not, instead of waiting for that extra 5 seconds and asking what is left and getting the answer, handkerchief, you actually ran back up. Why does this happen? Because of cortisol. So what is cortisol? I think 100,000 years ago when we were living in the jungle, you know, in packs and stuff, what used to happen is if you think there's a predator, if you think some noise, maybe a lion, there are two responses, flight or fight, correct? Flight is when you run, fight is when you actually get ready to fight with the predator. So what happened in evolution is, because you just needed to either have physical strength to run or to fight, everything else in your mind was blocked. And it still happens when you get stressed. So stress is a feeling of danger, unconsciously. So when you get that danger, everything else stops and you're only ready to run or fight, which we do not need nowadays. Physically, we don't need to fight. Physically, we don't need to run when you are stressed. But the response is same, and that's why this happens. The solution is very simple. We already have it. In this world, it's called stress management, but it could be as simple as meditation, music, hobbies. How many of you do yoga here? How many? Or the rest of them wake up in the morning, watch the TV. Tomorrow, kal karenge. Okay, let's try this. I have a very, very quick refresher. Okay, let's try this. Keep your hand like this, everyone. Keep your hand like this. If you have anything in your hand, keep it down. Keep your hand like this, everyone, okay? Turn it around. Okay, left or right. Left or right. Bring it together. Club it together. Thumb out. At the count of 3, do as I do. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have the conventional systems of meditation, music, hobbies, yoga. But nowadays we also have, which I'm sure many people know, we have apps, gadgets, mind you. Have you heard of apps that actually can reduce your stress? Have you heard of it? None of you? Okay, I don't want to advertise, but there are a lot of apps which actually help. People have reviews on YouTube and stuff where they actually tell you how it changed their life. There are apps, there are gadgets which actually are, you know, people actually feel when it's gadgets or apps or something, it is out of nature. It's not. Everything is inside the nature. Everything that's inside the universe, I think is inside the nature. So there are apps, there are gadgets, and there are mind gyms. A very new thing, mind gym, where they actually train you to train your mind to be calm using machines. So again, the answer is simple, but you have to give time to it. Like the earlier speaker, I think, the doctor, when he said that we have to go to the root cause and start doing ourselves, I think this is what we have to do ourselves. I can go more deep into all the points that are used, like we live in denial, that's the reason. We have false memories, we are trapped in the digital world, the social media, which keeps feeding you wrong information. We have fake news and stuff. We have mental fogs due to being on the phone for a long time, losing our attention. But I feel there's one thing, if you really, really do, you will achieve all of these things on its own. Like, you will actually create magic, you'll actually reach from your concept to the conclusion if you just have one thing which will put all these things in place. And I think that thing is to care. I believe magic happens where you care. The moment you start caring about anything, I believe you find the right things to do, you find the right resources, you find the right time to do it. As William James said, you know, if you care enough for a result, you will most certainly attain it. I think the best example we always have is our mothers. When I look at my mom, I realize I don't understand how she could manage so many things in this world to raise us, you know, the kids. And then I look, it's only because she cared so much. So I think if you care, magic happens there. Thank you. I'm Mangesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Desai. You were truly interactive, and I'm sure our audience enjoyed a lot. With this, we come to the end of the first session. We would like to thank our sponsors, Latin Manharlal Securities Private Limited, known for their dedication to providing safety and security to all. They've revolutionized the lives of thousands of Indians.
AIC Infrastructures, they have solidified the foundations of homes for generations. Did you know that their revolutionary product, airport-grade steel guard, has been used in the US and the UK too?
Meditech Healthcare, established in 2015, they are an entrepreneurial giant leading as a wholesaler and trade of state-of-the-art medical equipment.
FinZard, a financial management app that aims to improve the ease of managing personal finances.
ICICI Bank, one of the leading banks in the country. Did you know that ICICI Bank has developed the financial infrastructure of India over the last few decades? We will now take a short break for refreshments. Kindly exit the auditorium and please do return for the second session in about 30 minutes. I'll repeat, we'll now take a short break for refreshments. Kindly exit the auditorium and please do return in another 30 minutes for the second session. Thank you so much.
request everyone to start proceeding into the auditorium and please settle down.
Welcome back, everyone. Please start settling down. We'll be beginning shortly with the second session.
You have to carry it? That's okay. No, that's okay. Do we have some water here? That's okay. Check. One. Yep.
So we can begin shortly. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We hope that the break has energized you. We now welcome our next speaker for the day, Mr. Parekh Gandhi.
Known for his work in the hit television drama Scam 1992, he has also acted in many films, ranging from Bollywood blockbusters to Gujarati theatre. Graduating from Pune University with a degree in industrial engineering, he balanced his job at Reliance Industries with his love for theatre. And now he pursues his true love, acting. One of his notable monologues, Mohan's Masala, a monologue on Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, created history when it entered the Limca Book of World Records, as the monologue was performed in 3 different languages, Hindi, English, and Gujarati, on the same day at the same venue.
His Gujarati films have also been runway successes, such as Beyar. His next film, Wrong Side Raju, became commercially and critically successful and went on to win the National Award for the Best Gujarati Film. Mr. Gandhi is known for his radiant personality and his excellent communication skills. Paired with his polished manner of speech is his genuine, warm personality that makes him popular with so many of his fans. He is living proof that following your heart can truly pay off. And he proves that even the most far-fetched of ideas can be turned into real successes. We're truly honored to have you here, Mr. Gandhi. The stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for such a lovely introduction. So, I'm Parekh Gandhi. I'm an actor, an engineer, diploma in mechanicals, B in production. Have worked in the industry for almost 14 years as an engineer. I do practice martial arts. I do play tabla. I like playing djembe. I practice dance. I do a lot of theater. Theater is my first love. And all of these things that I do is out of sheer passion. So one term that I've heard all my life from all my friends, family, and all the well-wishers is that you are suffering from multiple passion disorder. And so, yeah, I kept hearing this for the longest time in my life. And as we are all taught, as child, that be a master of one. Don't try to be jack of all. Don't follow so many things that you get lost in between, in the transition. So you can't concentrate. If you do multiple things, then you can't give your 100% to any of these things, is what we were taught largely. With a lot of love and care for us, with a lot of, actually, they were all very, very, very attached to us, that they never wanted us to fail. So whoever told us this, they were right in their own context. But I caught up to this multiple passion disorder early on in life, at an early stage, and thanks to my school that I was studying in. So my school name was Pravrutti Vidyalay, which is, if you translate in English, it is the School of Activity, which is there in Surat. And I'm talking about 85, 86 when I joined the school, and that was the first batch of the school. So that was the only kind, only of its kind in the whole of country is what we were told then. So apart from 5 regular subjects, we were taught practically and theoretically other subjects like farming, carpentry, bamboo sculpting, music, gymnastics, sewing, and we also used to use charkha to make the thread out of cotton. So all these things were part of regular courses where we had to appear for written exams also and practical exams also. So school had its own farm where we used to go and do farming. So whatever that we used to grow, we were asked to take home. So kabhi neem, kabhi tomato, all these things that we used to take home. And we used to write theory on the same, that how these things are getting cultivated, what farming is all about, how to take care of the soil. So all these things kept happening, and I had no clue where am I going in life. Because all other friends, those who were there in my society, all other friends, those who were studying in other schools, they were studying these 5 subjects strictly. Exams, they used to top. I never topped any of the exams though. I was always in first 10, first 20, first 50, so that's how it happened. Apart from that, school used to have lots and lots of competitions, be it sports, drama, cultural competitions. And I don't know what went wrong with me per se, that I used to participate in all the competitions. and I never won any prize. So that motivated me more to participate next time again. And once somewhere I heard somebody saying that it's a partiality, that I didn't get a prize because I was better than that kid and all. I didn't even know the meaning of partiality though. So I just used the same term at home, and I spoke to my father that it's a partiality, but otherwise I was the best, I think. And he just said one sentence that changed my life and the perspective of my life. He said that if you have lost by a centimeter, that's your fault. If you win by a mile, nobody can do any partiality with you. So that's up to you how you win and how you want to win. So you create that mile for yourself so that even if somebody wants to do something, nobody can do anything. And that changed the perspective of life. Other thing is what I was told is, see, whatever we do out of fear or out of love. Now this thing sounds very, very bookish, very orthodox. But when I started practicing in my life, I saw the difference. A lot of people, I have to go to the office because if I don't go to the office, I lose my job. I have to go to the office because I want to finish this project because I love this project. Now there's a difference of thought process altogether. I have to go to the school because otherwise teacher will scold me. I have to go to the school because I don't want to miss this and I want to learn more. Everything that I did with passion, and passion is love, is what we are told. So I kept doing multiple things. After my diploma engineering, I picked up a job as a sales executive in a firm that used to sell energy conservation products. And at the same time, I picked up theater also, because I used to do a lot of theaters in school, and I always was inclined towards theater. Being on stage, performing, creating different characters was almost a second nature to me. So along with the theater, I kept doing this job for almost 11, 12 months. And then, because in Gujarat, there was a system where, you can't get direct admission from diploma to degree. During my time, there were only 2 seats for the toppers who could get admission from diploma to degree. And I was obviously not amongst the first 2. So I didn't get that chance. I had to work. And then I came to know that Maharashtra has this facility where I can go and study further. So I took up admission in North Maharashtra University, and I completed my graduation in industrial engineering. So when I started that job, I had no clue that what am I gaining through this? Because I was just 19 and a half or 20 years old when I was just out of diploma. That job gave me a lot of things, which I realized later that, as an engineer, we know the concepts. But the moment you have to go out and speak to somebody with confidence and sell somebody that he might not even want it. So that confidence is what I got through my first job of marketing. And a lot of people would tell you that marketing should be a first job. That teaches you everything about life and the world. So that happened to me automatically. After graduation, I wanted to pursue my engineering and acting both together. That was the weirdest thought that I had, as per my friends and family, that you can't do 2 things together. And I said, okay, let me not speak to anybody, but just go and explore this for myself. So if I fail, I just have to talk to myself and not to anybody else. I came to Bombay in 2004 and started working in theater and started searching for the job, because theater, as I don't know how many of you are aware about theater circuit, that the experimental theater can give you experience, can teach you, but it can't give you money to survive in the city like Mumbai. And as I came from Surat without any resources or without any backup that way, because I come from families of teachers, and teachers, so though we are Gujaratis, and nobody in our family did any business. And it happens. We were all teachers and all into service. So that's how it happened. I came here, and immediately I started giving a lot of auditions and failed everywhere, because I thought television was blooming that time, and I thought I'll get something immediately in television, and nothing happened then. But theater happened, and I did almost everything around theater, be it plays, be it play reading, be it poetry recitation, be it book launch, performing at some small functions. And there was a lull time where I didn't have play, I didn't have a project, because earlier I was a consultant engineer with National Productivity Council. So we used to work on the projects of manpower planning, process design, productivity improvements and all. So there was a time where I didn't have a project, I didn't have a play, so there was no income. And then to survive in Mumbai, paying your rents and paying your costs, everyday costs, was difficult. So a cousin of mine used to run a company called Party Planet. And she offered that one of my compares at a birthday party of a kid can't make it to the show because he just met with an accident. Can you just go and handle the show? And I said, I don't know how to compare a birthday party. I don't know which games to be played there. I mean, I don't know how to hold these audience, and that to young kids. So she just explained me. I still remember I got into the rickshaw from Parla East to Goregaon, and during that time, she explained me on the phone that these are the 5 games that you make them play. And as you rightly just said, that once you go on stage, you are told that handle it for 30 minutes. So I was prepared for 45 minutes before the cake cutting session. And I had 4 games. So she said, just make 5 rounds of each game, and that will help you till 40-45 minutes. By that time, cake cutting will happen, and you are done. The first show ever. Achha, I've studied in Gujarati medium all my life. Only English happened in my life because of engineering. So that's a technical English that I know, not a conversational English that I knew. And this was the show that I had to host in English. So that was another jitter with me that how will I handle, I just don't know. Because whatever conversational English that I learned or I practiced was during my first job of marketing in Surat. I went to the show, I started making them play games, and because I was so nervous that I finished all the 4 games in just 12 minutes. I thought that will help, crowd gets more energized and they'll get more involved. So next, and 12 minutes and I'm done. And I thought I've been playing this from last 50 minutes. I spoke to the client that now, sir, cake cutting time? And he said, no, we just started. I was about to tell you that cake cutting is delayed. So you just handle them for another 50, 60 minutes. And I had no clue what to do. So thanks to my school, thanks to my theater, thanks to the competitions that I participated and I failed, that instantly just came to my mind that let me try something else, and I started making them dance. They danced for 7-8 minutes and they were all tired. So now I had no option but to dance myself and ask them to copy me. So I invented a round called Copy Me Round, that all the copycats will get prizes. Because then by that time the father of the birthday boy gave me a bag full of gifts, return gifts. He said, whoever performs better in the games, just give away the gifts. But I was done with the games already. So then I started this Copy Me Round, and I made them dance for almost 45 minutes. They didn't realize, I didn't realize, we kept dancing. And I was really scared. I don't know what will the client tell to my cousin who owns the company. And I don't know where is it going, but I just somehow managed the show. Next time my cousin called me and she said that, what did you do in the show? I said, I tried. I told you I can't handle the show. She said, no, the client wants you again for her second birthday party. And there are 5 inquiries from the same show. And I was just thinking, how did it happen? So what worked is the last round that I did, Copy Me Round. Because the parents and the kids, they all enjoyed dancing with me, which I was scared on. And that happened. Now here I started thinking that how can it happen? It can't be sheer coincidence, or it just can't be sheer luck. So whatever that I did, and I kept failing, suddenly helped me. Whatever I did out of passion suddenly helped me manage this situation. So here now there was a time where I had to decide on 2 things. I was getting a full-fledged job, corporate job. And at the same time I had a good play which was running. Now I had to choose between these 2, and I chose both of them. So that was a huge problem, because my cousin who was supporting me here, he said that it's the most foolish thing to do in your life, because you are a first-class engineer, you're getting a job, there is a good chance that you might get posted abroad also. So you just concentrate there and make your career. Have you ever seen any small-time actor coming from another city to Bombay and making it big? And we started counting and we just had 2-3 names. So he said, just through 3 out of millions. So look at the probability and possibilities. I had no answer to this, but I wanted to do 2 things together. So I just pursued 2 things together for almost 13 years. I kept doing it. At one point, I was almost homeless. We were expecting a kid in the house. I was married. My parents were here. We were staying in a small one-room kitchen apartment in Parla, and I was offered my first Gujarati film, Bayar. Now that was a time when the company that I was working in, they were into setting up cement plants. And I was responsible for the manpower planning and the process design. So right from the beginning I was involved. Now this was the time where I was offered the film and the plant was getting commissioned. So out of the corporate office, now I was required to be at site at Nagpur. And this was a time where I had to speak to my CEO and apply for the leave, that I just wanted 21 days leave to finish this film, and I'll manage the plant remotely. If required, I'll go there. Somehow they agreed, I convinced them, and I went and shot the film in 21 days. This was my first Gujarati film. Now, this was a time where Gujarati films were just not doing good. Nobody was interested in watching Gujarati films, especially the youth, because they had no connection whatsoever to the kind of storytelling that was happening then. So 2012, this film happened, and it changed a lot of things in my life also, and the whole phase of Gujarati film industry, because that was the first film that got entry in multiplexes. So Bayar became a super duper hit, is what I was told, because I was back in the office working on PPTs and making multiple versions of the same PPTs. When the whole cast and crew, they were enjoying the success of the film on ground, and they told me that this is working very well. So my writers and my producers and directors said that, now I think you should leave your job. But I did not have that much confidence, because the way this industry works, the entertainment industry works, it is highly unorganized, and you're working with a lot of variables. So it will never happen that one success can serve you for the life. And I had to manage in this kind of variable situations, where now I had a full-fledged family here, without a house in Bombay. So I continued for 3 more years. I was offered a lot of films, but I could not take up, because I had a full-fledged job. After 1.5 years, I was offered Wrong Side Raju. Again, I took leave of 25 days, went and finished the film, because by that time, the corporate had this culture that employees would take annual leave of 20-25 days, and they would either go abroad, they would do whatever, pursue whatever they want. So that helped me. And I finished Wrong Side Raju. Wrong Side Raju won the national award. And that was a time in 2016 when this multiple passion disorder slowly started getting converted to multiple passion order. And all the fruits worked for me, because the film won national award, I won a lot of accolades, and that was a time where I decided that I'll plunge full-time into this, and now I'll take engineering and my innovative side as a second stride to me. So I plunged into it, full-time actor, and exactly after 1.5 years, scam happened, and scam did what it did to me and to all of us who were involved in this, because scam generally changes the life, is what I heard. This is what I experienced for the first time. And all this while I kept taking these risks, which people said. And after scam, I realized that risk hai to ishq hai, which I had no clue. It just happened to me. So as I say, concept to conclusion, the concept was multiple passion. Order or disorder, I had no clue about it, but I was constantly driven by passion, and I kept doing multiple things. The conclusion is that being master of one, being jack of all, I don't think anything of these matters. What matters is be a practitioner by heart. Practice whatever that you want to, and that's where the magic happens, is what we just learned, we just heard. So the magic is within, keep doing it, because there are no standard rules for anything. And success cannot be defined by any one way. Because what works for me might not work for anybody else, and what has not worked for him might work for me. So whatever examples that I counted that time, that how many actors have come, each train that stops at Borivali or Dadar, almost thousands or lakhs of actors would come out of the train, and how many of them can make it? But if I count that, it is absolutely demotivating. What I can do is only I can do, and what I can't do, maybe somebody else can do. So there is space for everything. So just believe in the magic, and that's the conclusion that I would want to end at, that whatever you do, do with your full heart. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gandhi. Your passion for the arts is palpable in the air. Our next speaker returns to his alma mater, USGS, with a treasure chest of unique ideas and a wider worldview of life. Meet Darpan Bendre, a truly sensational visionary. Who found a soon-to-be agribusiness empire, Agrify Fresh. Agrify Fresh aims to pioneer India's freshest traceable supply chain that elevates the freshness and availability of Indian produce through state-of-the-art technology and the unison of farmers, retailers, and supply chains. By transforming India's agrarian economy, our CEO of Agrify Fresh is on an upward trajectory on making Indian produce known worldwide for its remarkable quality.
Mr. Bendre is not only known for Agrify Fresh, but also for his dynamic personality and never-give-up attitude. His enviable virtues, combined with his vision to construct excellent conclusions from mere molecules of ideas, make him the man that he is today. Mr. Bendre will now reveal the deepest secrets of how one can fluently speak the vernacular of everlasting success.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I would like to start by asking a simple question to everyone. With a show of hands, can you all tell me if you all are familiar with the word entrepreneurship? Most of you all here, as expected, a very smart audience indeed. From the ones who have raised their hands, can someone quickly tell me what does entrepreneurship mean to them? Anyone? Smart audience? Yes. Perfect. For me, entrepreneurship is about creating an impact. It doesn't matter how big or how small your business is, it needs to create an impact. Every one of us doesn't need to spend their time colonizing Mars or making electric self-driving vehicles. Even someone who is delivering cakes in an area at 12 o'clock where all shops close at 9 is creating an impact. Simply put, entrepreneurship, startups, we can say it's a dhanda at the end of the day. It's about creating a product, a service that people need, and in the process, make money. And that is what I'm trying to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Darpan Bendre. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Agrify Fresh, and alumni of Utpal Sangvi School and NMIMS. Agrify is my agri-tech startup through which we're trying to make sure that Indian produce is the benchmark for freshness, quality, and availability globally by making sure that the suppliers, the retailers, and the farmers work in unison, powered by cutting-edge technology. This particular stage, for me personally, means a lot. I've literally grown up on this stage since I was in my nursery to class 10th. So what I'm going to share today is my journey of being a student entrepreneur and how life has been since, and what things have followed. What I'm going to talk about is not something you all will find on YouTube or these Instagram reels that have been going around, or even quotes from a book. This is my story, and there is something that I have learned in each part of it. Okay, I haven't learned to use the clicker. That's not a problem. Okay, anyway, it's not a problem. So, my degree officially says that I am a computer engineer. But as they say that engineers are good at everything apart from engineering, so this is my case too. I started my entrepreneurial journey in the first year of my engineering with my childhood friend, and he's sitting right there with me. And what we thought about was we'll start selling T-shirts online through Instagram, Facebook. We started personalizing jerseys for college clubs, committees, and all those kind of things. At that point of time, entrepreneurship as a word wasn't much talked about. We didn't want to be big billionaires or make $1 billion startup. We just wanted to escape from our studies. And that's how I started it. Within a year we were doing it, we just started to feel that we're not creating something that people won't be able to live without. And that's where the term impact came to my mind. Entrepreneurship or any business needs to be about creating an impact. Coincidentally, in my engineering college, I had started to work with a non-profit called as Enactus. What we were trying to do there was empower marginalized farmers by getting their produce to cities, selling them through farmers' markets, and making sure that their incomes rise. We did this for about a year when those groups of farmers we were working with approached my then project head and now co-founder Urvish that we should do something which helps them on a daily basis. It wasn't possible working in a social project. We were in our rigorous course of engineering, but we felt that this is the time to jump. This is the time to do this, and we started because there were people in need. So in some ways, we can say that we didn't choose Agrify, but Agrify chose us. Now, we started as an organic B2B company in which we were supplying to small restaurants mainly to make sure that the unit economics make sense. We are doing this since May 2019. And in March 2020, as we all know, the entire world was fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic. For us, we were supplying to restaurants, and our main clients were now shut. We felt that, fine, this has been a good ride. Probably there's nothing much that we can now do. We can't even go out of our homes. What can we exactly do? But our farmers, with whom we were working with, they were now used to getting good returns. Instead of going to mandis, they were selling to us, through which we were in turn selling to customers. So the entire chain was set in place. They didn't want to go back to mandis. And at the same time, if you all will remember, at that point of time when the national lockdown was announced, there were no slots available on a Big Basket or a Grofers or any other online players. People were in a state of panic. We said, probably we have an opportunity here to help both these sets of people. That's when we thought about doing a B2C business. We said that, okay, we've got farmers, we've got customers, we'll just try it out by sending a WhatsApp message. I did that by sending a WhatsApp message from my own personal number in a broadcast list, and that message got viral. We had expected 500 orders. That's the number. 500 orders is all that we had expected. But what followed was we were sitting on top of nearly 50,000 orders within the span of a few hours. What a good screenshot. If let's see. Yes, there we go. I've got it. So this is the screenshot of my actual WhatsApp. You can see that there were, oops. Okay, no problem. There are about 10,000 unread chats on it and countless missed calls and whatnot. It was a crazy period. We were actually scared because being prepared for 500 and now we have to cater to 50,000 people and the entire demand of Mumbai. We were getting calls from local MLAs, from Commissioner of Thane. I remember we had received a call saying that, are you all going to deliver? That was the state at that point of time. An article was published in Better India even before we delivered our first box of pre-packed vegetables. We got into action mode. We decided that this is something that we have to do. There's a reason why this message has gone viral, and we need to act on it. We started doing video calls with our farmers back in Nashik, Kolhapur, these regions to make sure that they know how to pack these boxes. Now, these were used to sending 10 tons of okra or onions. We had to teach them to pack 500 grams. So probably before all corporates starting Zoom meetings and video meetings, probably we were the first ones to do it when the entire country was figuring out what to eat. What followed was that we set up a massive operation of 8 to 10 tempos. We got a lot of delivery boys. Because at that point, if you remember that people were even scared to get out of their homes. People thought that COVID ho gaya, matlab, that's that. But we had to make sure that we had to cater to the demands of people because we were getting calls from UK, US, parents who were saying that, people were saying that their parents are alone at home, they can't get out, you all need to do something. And we said, yes, this is something we have to do. We got out of our homes. For the initial few months, we were doing a few deliveries ourselves. We were out there on the streets each and every day to make sure that we catered to the entire demand. So we were working out of a 300 square feet warehouse in Andheri East. So to just give context, it was probably smaller than this stage. And we were catering to the demands of the entire city. And that was our beginning. That's how it all ignited. What followed was that, yes, we ended up raising a series, a pre-seed round from a group of angel investors, and as we're incubated in NMIMS AIC, it's an incubation center back then. So what I learned from this entire scenario was that luck definitely favors the brave. You have to take risks and give your everything without worrying about results. Results need to be secondary. As Mr. Harshad Mehta, Pratik Gandhi was there, he would say that risk hai to ishq hai. It is absolutely true. If we wouldn't have firstly taken the risk of changing our business model, second, taken the leap of faith that we can do this task which is in front of us, and third, shown the courage to even get out of our homes, I wouldn't have been standing here today. It would have just been that one story of 1 year you did a business and that's it. Now you are back to engineering. So now we had just raised some funding. We were looking to be on an upward trajectory, but it also coincided with the COVID-19 wave going down. So the cases were reducing, the lockdown restrictions were lifting, and now we were facing and competing with these huge giants, venture capital-backed giants like Big Basket, Grofers, all other modern retailers, Prazo, Dunzo, and whatnot. But as enthusiastic entrepreneurs, we said, the world is a canvas. We can do anything that's there. We went on a complete aggressive mode. We had Google, Facebook, Instagram ads. We had offline channels. We had hoardings set up near the Western Express Highway. It's very expensive. We didn't think about these things. We just kept on going. What that resulted in was that we had nearly burnt everything that we had raised within the span of a few months. Now, from nearly closing down our business to doing well, to raising a round of funding, and then nearly again shutting down within the span of a year. We felt like idiots, fools, failures. How could we do this? We had the entire world to our feet. We could have done anything possible. But here, within the span of a few months, we are staring at closing down. Going back wasn't an option, because here, proudly, we were entering our 4th year of engineering. We had said proudly to our placement cell that no, we're out of placements. We are now entrepreneurs, startup founders, and all. So we had closed that door down. We had told our parents we're not going to do a CAT or a GRE GMAT. Ye sab kaun karta hai? Those kind of things. We had said all those things, and here we are staring at closing our business. There were investors who are probably watching this through the YouTube live stream as I have sent them the link. They were wondering that what is it that you all were doing? And we didn't have an answer. There was just one glimmer of hope. During our B2C days, we had also started delivering B2B to a modern retail chain, which is owned by Tata's, that is Star Bazaar. They had given their vendors an opportunity to do some contract farming, grow some complex articles in different conditions, maintain the supply chain, and a lot of technical jargon that we didn't have a clue about. We saw that this is the only opportunity. We said that even if this is the last thing that we do as Agrify, we want to do it, we want to do this contract, because we want to wear it as a badge of honor, that we've done something big for a Tata company. We got in some advisors, we got in people who could tell us what needs to be done, and we ended up doing it. And we ended up doing pretty well. That same task, that same contract gave shape to the current business model that we are working on, the same model that helped us generate a profit that has now made us suppliers to all major modern retailers, be it Big Basket, Swiggy, Star, Reliance, you name them and we are there. And hotel chains like Taj, Oberoi's, these guys. It made sure that we sustained, and it made sure that we survived and we found the right thing and the right thing to do. So today, our business model basically focuses around procuring best unique articles which is grown pan-India by our farmers, packing them, sorting, grading, making sure that global standards are followed, and selling them in all these modern retail chains with an eye of making Agrify Fresh a global brand which Indians can be proud about when they see our produce in a Walmart or a Costco or a Tesco in the UK or the US. That is our goal. What I learned from this entire scenario was that, nothing is permanent. Change is the only constant. So not the highs, not the lows. Nothing at all is permanent. Change is the only constant. We need to take nothing for granted. That's the most important thing. Taking nothing for granted, and you need to adapt, and that too fast. So only the businesses and the startups who are comfortable with change and are comfortable with adapting to change will be the ones that are really successful. Agrify and me, personally, we're not that successful yet, because that is what entrepreneurship is about. Sky is the limit. Sky, space, Mars, galaxies. The limit is not defined. So I still don't define myself as a success, and there's a long, 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 long way still to go. But any one of you here who wants to take up entrepreneurship needs to forget about all the reasons why they shouldn't and focus on that one singular reason, that one passion why you should take it up. Age, you all are all young. We are still young. I'm 23 right now. You all are young, 18, 20, whatever it is. Age is on your side. I believe that age should never be a limiting factor. It always needs to be an enabler. If you're 18, you've got nothing to lose. If you're 40, you've got so much experience that probably you won't lose. But that doesn't mean that every one of us here needs to take up entrepreneurship. It's not about having cool LinkedIn bios, founder, CEO, putting reels, saying that I hustle for 26 hours a day. No, it's not about all those things. The things that are not seen is the struggle, is the mental pressure, is the stress that you all go through to make sure that you are delivering on what you've promised to so many people, to investors, to your customers, to suppliers, everything. Only if you're ready to fall, get back up, and then probably fall again every single day, only then entrepreneurship is for you. There is one thing that's very important, apart from everything that has been said, is that you have to never stop believing in yourself, because that is one thing that no one, how many ever TED Talks you'll attend, nothing. No one can teach you to believe in yourself, so believing that you can do anything is the most important thing. People, when I started, used to call me a sabzi wala. My friends, relatives, a lot of people, sabzi wala. I used to think that, okay, but today I say, haq se hu, करोड़ों की सब्जी बेचता हूँ, 20 लोग का घर चलाता हूँ, and I'm sure that not a lot of 23-year-olds can say about, this is something they can say about themselves. So, but it has come at a sacrifice. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was 18. Today I'm 23. Last 5 years, I've not lived the life of a normal 18 to 23-year-old. There have been things, there have been moments where we had considered shutting down. My co-founder Urvish is back there. He knows that a number of times we have decided to shut down, close our startup, and go back to we don't know what. But for some reason or the other, we always believe that what we are trying to do, the legacy that we are trying to leave behind, is not something that will be achieved by taking a path that everyone else is taking. It won't be achieved by getting bogged down after seeing a friend get a package worth millions, or someone going to the US, UK, everything, living or chasing that American dream. You know that it won't give us the satisfaction that we want right now. Entrepreneurship, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, is about trying. It's about keeping on trying, taking trials. It's about being graceful in failures or tribulations. It's about being humble in successes or triumphs. The Tatas, the Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks, they aren't what they are because of privileged founders or unlimited funding. They're there because someone there believed and dared to dream. And that is what made a Tata, or a Facebook, or a WhatsApp, or a WhatsApp. I truly believe that if we as Indians put our best minds to it, this decade will surely belong to India. But we have to keep trying and keep trying. Remember that the first flight by the Wright brothers only lasted for about 12 seconds. Today, the longest flight between Singapore and JFK is 18 hours, 40 minutes, 67,200 seconds. So if we keep on trying, if we keep at it and repeating this cycle again and again and again, we will be really successful. That's all from my side, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bendre. We are so proud as a school of all your achievements. You're a real inspiration to all our students. We're proud to have amongst us budding poets from PPSIJC.
We would like to welcome Vilumi, student of PPSIJC, to recite a poem written by her.
I was in 8th grade when I wrote this poem, and I wrote it about learning and unlearning and about this period of time where I thought I was experiencing this profound sadness. But what's special about this poem to me now is that it means something entirely different to me 3 years later, and which is why I have chosen to recite this one for you guys today. It's called Forward is Not the Only Way. You'd chuckle as I told you that. Black eyes illuminated with theories of the universe you'd learn, only to hear the way galaxies inside you collide. A minor chord breaks the silence. Forward is progress, right? And strung up on your wall with chipped paint like the tips of your fingers, strung up on your wall would be a lacquer painting. Layers pulled back for years so you could see the Vietnamese woman in red and white. And she'd tell you that forward is not the only way. You'd run your fingers through that silk shirt of yours, each strand, the hem, pulled apart, strewn together. You think about what she just said. Forward is not the only way, and forward isn't one way. Infinitesimal universe glowing with the light of a billion suns, dirt growing in your fingernails. Even the slice of rotting apple in your room would tell you that forward is not the only way. Thank you for your time. Wow. Thank you, Valomi. We would also like to call upon Arish Desai to recite his poem, Finding America.
Hello, yeah. Finding America. In this quest that never seemed to end, I sailed to find America, the temple of the free and the mosque of the brave, a dream that would never fade away. So I sailed and sailed and sailed. The North Star was my God, and the Atlantic waters my wheels, which carried me to a place that would soon become my sanctuary for centuries. Or so I thought. Only God knew that my fate was lying through his teeth, that my America was just a mirage. The oasis, the acceptance, the shameful acceptance of defeat. Everyone and everything screamed at me, silenced me with soundless noises. Everyone battered me with the force of 1 billion earthquakes. You will never find America. America is not a place for you, so quit your journey, accept your destiny. My spirit broke, shrunk into the size of an atom and crumbled to debris. Will I ever find America? Will I ever be home, safe and sound? So I hunted for America, turned every leaf over, set out wildfires, looted every merchant, peasant, monastery and jail, plundered through cities, engulfed nations, and even dug my hands until they sank into boiling magma. Thunder became my best friend. At least he understood my rage. Everyone wanted to kill me, and I wanted to kill everyone. But in this war, I was all alone. I was a wave that would crawl all the way up to the shore just to be yanked back into an ocean of nightmare. And my power became my very own parasite. I lost my armor as my hands begged for mercy, but they were slapped away. I was shunned away, I was burnt away, and I was killed away. And truly, my American dream just became my American nightmare. I became a slum of broken memories and swirls of failures as I bled violently through my miscarriage, as depression raped me again and again and again. I became architecture, that was never appreciated, just spat with graffiti that spoke slurs, swears, and slurs. And soon, with time, I became those disgusting slurs. Why me, out of all people? Why can't I find America? Am I blind, or have I lost it? Is my America even real? In this whirlpool of entropy and madness, a scripture fell upon my lap, precipitated with the summer rain, glowing with Devanagari font and inked by my own blood. Finally, I laughed 1,000 times and smiled 1,000,000, because finally I realized that my prophecy on earth was never and will never be about finding America. It was about being it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valomi and Arush. Those verses were really beautiful. The creative world of language is an amalgamation of prose and verse. Our next speaker is more than familiar with this world.
Storytelling is an art form. Words are carefully selected and woven into a final piece. Certainly no easy feat. Our next speaker is Mr. Krishnarjan Bhattacharya, known for his tantric series with a dynamic writing style and staggering control over imagery and pace. He is the recipient of the INLAC's FTII Award and the Lalit Kala Scholarship for Best Photography. Mr. Bhattacharya has also designed storytelling games that are popular with audiences looking to lose themselves in his carefully designed narratives.
To add another feather to his cap, Mr. Bhattacharya also carries out live storytelling sessions because he believes that ghost stories should be kept alive in the era of smartphones and televisions. Without further ado, the stage is all yours, Mr. Bhattacharya.
There are shapes hidden in the world around us, just ever so slightly beyond the visible spectrum. Sometimes you can see them, like when rain bounces off an invisible object. This secret language that one can certainly learn to read. A secret language within stories. Do you have a story to tell? I do. My name is Krishnarjan Bhattacharya, and I'm going to talk about the many shapes of storytelling. Stay for a while and listen. I'm an author and a director-screenwriter, but point is, I've been working with stories for most of my life. And this tale starts when I was a child. When I was in school, I hated math, like so many others before me. It did not make sense to me. Geometry, the numbers, the figures, the shapes, they never quite added up. Until 20 years later, after spending half a lifetime arm wrestling with words and owning more books than is simply legal, 20 years later, I suddenly came face to face with this realization. I started to see the same shapes that I once studied in school, that once filled me with dread. I began to see these shapes in my contemporary work, in my worlds. And I was terrified until I realized that these shapes were giving me a different kind of access, a backdoor, a new way of looking at storytelling devices. And before I knew it, every single story I came across seemed to be built out of these same shapes. There was no escaping them. It's like reading the Matrix. Once you start to see the green code behind the walls, it's all you can see. And you get used to it. You'll notice I'm not holding cue cards today. This iPad has my talk on it. But it is also the first shape I want to talk about, the rectangle. A blank page, limitless potential, literally anything can be written on it. However, a rectangle also signifies one of the most important aspects of storytelling, the window. Now, a window, while allowing us to take a good look-see from our boring, drab world into this exciting, magical plane that we are building, serves a singular purpose. It limits our view, and that's a good thing. When beginning to build a world, there's so much you can do. It's easy to get lost amidst the mess of things. Where do we even begin? There's so many possibilities when you're, playing God. It's easy to get sucked into the absolute recesses of hundreds of thousands of minute little details that you're filling your world up with just because you like it. But ultimately might not have all that much to do with the story you're trying to tell. To be clear, I'm not saying don't use all that rich detail. Don't tap into that vivid imagination of yours. But prioritize. Use the window. You can only see this much out of a window. Start to build that much first. The first book I published was actually the 6th novel I wrote. It took me 5 unpublished, handwritten, completed manuscripts to understand what I wanted my first published work to be. It took me that long to climb out of the window. I'm going to talk about dots next. What is a dot? So sometimes when your pen is hovering above paper, you might accidentally create a dot. Oops. It's simple, really. A dot can be anything. It can be an incident, a character, a house, a red bicycle, an idea. But the deal with dots is, dots tend to get lonely on their own. Which is why, as a storytelling device, the dot needs more than just itself to function. When we connect 2 dots, we get a line. Now, lines mean many things in storytelling as well, but if I had to pick one word, I would say journey. Point A to point B. Life to death. The many things I learned along the way, the many experiences I had, the many people I met. All my life, certain people have tried to see me as a dot, but truth is, I am a line. All of you are lines, still being drawn at 1,000 kilometers per hour, wind whipping your faces in the wild rush of it all. We're racing towards that goal, that giant tower in the distance, point B. Although the dot we call point B might not be as fulfilling or as exciting as we think it is once we get there. What we're really going to remember is the journey. All great stories are about journeys, and not just physical journeys, mental, psychological, spiritual, journeys of every kind, realizations, awakenings, and shifts in perspective, growth, both of the world and its many, many inhabitants. Now, lines in many ways signify chronology, but that depends heavily on how you're drawing the line. You see, there are many ways a line can be drawn. For example, bottom to up, the rise of a chosen one, the one the witches have whispered of, the one who's going to bring an end to the suffering of her people. Rise. Top to bottom, the fall of an ambitious, violent warlord who sold his soul to a creature of many heads and many tongues. Degradation. Left to right. A day in the life of a discriminated monster hunter. An exciting, sometimes dull day, and she's basically going to go to sleep at the end of it. Stasis. Right to left. An immortal, wrinkled samurai has a conversation with his talking katana, and he recounts his entire life, the regrets he has, the mistakes he's made. Memory. An excellent way to physically embody a line, and I'm talking about becoming a line, become a point A to point B within a respectable amount of time, is to play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. I love D&D, but how it is different from reading a book or watching a film is that D&D, or any other contemporary pen and paper role-playing game, lets you physically become the protagonist. You become the so-called hero of the story, and you're encouraged to use a voice, an accent, develop habits, minute little details, even dress up for the duration of a campaign if you want. And by the end of the campaign, your experiences have shaped you. You have changed, just like the world around you has changed. And it's fantastic. Rogues become Robin Hoods. Paladins become agnostics. Barbarians become pacifists. Anything is possible. The line, you see, the line has to be drawn. The line dictates all. Now, I don't much care for rules in writing. They've never really mattered to me as such, you know. Hero's journey, 3-act structure, 7-act structure, end, beginning, middle. But it is a good idea to know what the rules are. The one rule of school was study hard, but I never really did that. Top of my class in English, yes, but those were storybooks to me. Really, really cool and supportive parents, yes, but I tested their patience. Wrapped novels in school-issue brown paper, yes, but I deep dived and devoured them. Passion, yes, but also silent rebellion. Let's keep that aside for now. We're going to do something with it later. Let's talk about the rule of 3. Old writing rule. It basically gets into why so many things are in threes. And there are a lot of things in threes throughout history, throughout literature. For example, 3 wishes that a genie grants you. 3 dangerous tasks for a hero to fulfill. Once upon a time, there lived 3 brothers. At the end of her journey, she chanced upon 3 boxes. The first box was a glittering gold. The second was made of a shining silver. And the third box was a dirty, unglamorous copper. But what do you know? She takes that box, and that was the test, right? So there's 3 ghosts of Christmas, 3 little pigs, 3 acts, 3 distinct points in time, 3 distinct people. And we come to characters. Now, there are so many examples we can take, but let's talk about Tolkien. Let's talk about The Lord of the Rings, about a very different dynamic of 3. So first we have Frodo, the protagonist, the ring bearer. We have Samwise, his absolutely dear, loyal friend, and also gardener. And finally, we have Gollum, this treacherous, pitiful ghost of a creature bound to the ring. My precious. 3 is not always a crowd. 3 can make for absolutely amazing chemistry in storytelling as soon as we draw lines between these 3 points, making it a triangle. With these lines, we're establishing relationships, emotional graphs, how these characters interact with each other, how they react, what makes them tick, essentially. Remember what we said about lines earlier. We can draw them in so many ways, but these are arcs. They will dictate journeys. A very quick example. Frodo loves Sam, pities Gollum. Sam, absolutely devoted and in love with Mr. Frodo, despises, and I could even say hates and distrusts Gollum. Now Gollum, and I'm not talking about his alter ego Smeagol here, Gollum wants them both dead. Now Gollum is going to use these 2 lines that are being drawn to him. He's going to use Frodo's pity, and he's going to use Sam's distrust and hate in order to manipulate the both of them into the jaws of certain death. And the beauty of it is, if you remove one element from this equation, it's not going to work anymore, right? The best part is they are not even the best of friends, the 3 of them, unlike a very popular wizarding school trio that also comes to mind here. No, that's why this triangle is an absolute masterwork. All right. I'm going to narrate a short story now, a short original story. And I'm going to use everything I've talked about so far. So let's recap. A rectangle. Okay, I'm going to limit my operations. So a certain area of a certain city I know very well. I'm going to write what I know so the protagonist can have my profession. Lines, yes, lots of lines, lots of little arcs, but also triangles. Now, we don't have time to develop 3 protagonists and flesh them out, so we're going to use 3 elements instead. So on the top, we have absolute realism. On this corner, we have magic, fantasy. And on the third, we are going to use philosophy, commentary about something which pains me, something I believe in, something the story stands for. And the passion and the silent rebellion we had kept aside earlier, let's use that as garnish. Okay. The story goes like this. It's called The Keyboardist. Achinto Chatterjee wrote fantasy fiction for a living. He did it because people needed a break from reality. And he provided, just like he provided for himself and his humble existence in a small one-room kitchen with not so much kitchen. But his writing table was by the window, and he was happy when he was writing. When he wasn't writing, he had errands. People needed help, and in Kolkata, one actually helped them. Pinjola auntie, who lived on the 5th floor, she needed fresh kaiju ink for her fledgling fabric dyeing operation that was always on the cusp of going online. Ochinta would take a tram and walk around 2 kilometers to the part of the docks where the kaijus had laid eggs the night before. Sometimes he would stop and have tea with the Bengali intellectuals that were his friends and were also unemployed. To be fair, they did have better ideas about the future of the nation than they did about their own futures. A few cigarettes would be smoked, and their old masters, Ray and Ghotok, would be romanticized. Sometimes the smoke would attract a street jinn, and they'd have to call Bappida, who would rush over with the nearest empty lamp. One day, Ochinta would realize that his friends were also writers. Ochinto's grandmother used to tell him tales of the zombie. Only in Bangla, they weren't called zombies. They were a certain kind of bhoot, a shrunken, hungry cadaver that had shambled back from the other side, an uncremated, unburied individual. Ochinto always felt like he understood them, that he understood unrest better than anyone. He saw them for the first time when he was 10 years old on the banks of the Ganga, outstretched arms, shrunken belly. He had counted all the ribs, even while he was backing away. But Didima, it was only looking for relief, he had argued with his grandmother that night. Only a moment of calm it could wrap those limbs around. Only a home-cooked meal to sink those teeth in. These memories were like stray cats to him. They went away, but they stayed all the same. Ochinto worked with keyboards every single day. He talked to them and through them the way a photographer works with a camera, he mused, or a musician with his instrument. The only music Ochinto made was dull and deep, clacks and clicks, like skulls giving excited little laughs, manic about the reanimation of dead words and deader verse. Sometimes the lights would go out and a soul would pass through the room, setting his curtains ablaze. Ochinto kept a small bucket of water near his table for such occasions. Sometimes he simply stared at his keyboard and wondered if the home key was his favorite. Ochinto Chatterjee still writes fantasy fiction for a living. His last book was scary, about how perhaps we are becoming cadavers, zombies in a world where there are no actual supernatural creatures, how our fingers flick away while we rot on the inside, how our shrunken bellies are still recovering from the famines of colonial wrongdoing, how we walk in a herd, inwardly afraid, mass engaging with shambling exercises of pointlessness, how our approval-seeking tendencies are rewarded while our attention spans grow shorter by the second. That's what it says on the back, anyway. I bought the book, but haven't found the time to read it yet. And that's the story. But wait, there were things in there that could warrant other stories. Ideas, you see, are beginning to slowly germinate. A noir recount of a kaiju egg smuggler, or a man who learns how to craft and build lamps that trap and hold jinn, or maybe the chronicles of Pinjala Auntie's fabric dyeing operation, a dream carried over through generations, through partition and trauma. And suddenly, we arrive at the last shape. Or rather, the last shape has arrived. The circle. Shunya. Tabula rasa, I am nothing and hence I am everything, life and death and now rebirth, the wheel of time, Ouroboros, the circle. We just went from concept to conclusion, and from conclusion we come to concept again. Like any creative process, the beginning of the end is the end of the beginning, and excited, armed with everything the process has given us, we walk the unending circle yet again. My name is Krishnarjun Bhattacharya, and I'm going to talk about the many shapes of storytelling. Stay for a while and listen. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, Mr. Bhattacharya, you have left us all spellbound. And I don't think there could have been a better end to our event today. We would like to once again thank our sponsors, Latin Manharlal Securities Private Limited, AIC Infrastructure, MedTech, FinZerd, and ICICI Bank. I would also request all our attendees to fill out the TEDx attendee form, which will be sent to you today by the TEDx email itself, not the school email. I repeat, please do fill out the TEDx attendee form that will be sent to you today by the TEDx email. We hope that through the various insights and thought-provoking words of our illustrious speakers, each and every one of us present here today have understood the power that concepts hold and how, with a little determination and courage, we too can help our concepts blossom into beautiful conclusions. After all, it's not the idea. It's never the idea. But it is what you choose to do with it that counts. We would like to invite our A-level supervisor, Mrs. Varsha Kusnoor, to further express our gratitude.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. Concept to conclusion. The theme resonated strongly this morning through all the esteemed speakers with their versatile narration and address. No words will do justice to thank them enough for their presence, grace, and efforts, which made TEDxYouth at PPSIJC an event which left an indelible mark in the minds of everyone. I, on behalf of the management, principal, teacher, and students, express a heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers for the active participation in TEDxYouth at PPSIJC. Platforms like these give us an opportunity to widen our horizons to great wisdom and knowledge, and for this, I wish to thank the management for their great support, Mrs. Rakhi Mukherjee, the principal, for her infectious inspiration and encouragement, Mrs. Shubhangi Amonkar, vice principal, for her constant guidance, the PTA members for promoting the event, the teaching and the non-teaching staff for their active participation, last but not the least, my dear students who tirelessly and relentlessly worked hard to make this event a grand success. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Kusnoor. I would request all of our attendees to kindly wait while the members of the management and our speakers leave. I would also request our TEDx team to kindly escort them downstairs. Also, to all of the attendees, please do take the bags and cups that have been given to you. Thank you so much for being a part of our event today.
Mrs. Mukherjee.
members, please come to the stage.
Hello. Yeah, come on the stage, man.
Once again, all TEDx members, please come to the stage.